Rhythm and Soul Radio. I am Marco Nobles. We have our virtual studio open, and walking in the door is a longtime friend of Rhythm and Soul Radio. Uh, Fantastic voice, very talented brother who has a new album coming soon. You've been listening over the last few weeks. You've heard we've been playing the song "Confidence Key," over and over, and that's from our friend Ghetto Falsetto, Nicholas Ryan Gant. What's happening, sir?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm
Uh,
doing great. School just got out, so I'm feeling really good.
right, right. I didn't mention in the intro. He's an artist. He's a musician. He's an educator. You are molding the minds of our young folk.
I'm trying. Oh
and
my
and,
gosh.
and molding their talent and allowing them to express their talents because you teach in Harlem and you teach choral or vocal skills or music in general.
Yeah, so I do like a little bit of general music, but mostly choral music. Yeah, so I'm teaching chorus and choir, and then I do some individual work with kids who want to kind of pursue it and trying to help them get into the specialized high school. So I taught high
Okay,
school for 3 years, and this is my actually my second year teaching middle school. So
okay.
I teach middle school chorus.
Right. So now I remember the high school. I didn't realize you had switched to middle school. So that's
Yeah, during the pandemic, they had huge budget cuts, and I actually got cut out of the budget from the high school that I was teaching at, which ended up being a blessing because I found a cool middle school. So I live in Harlem, but I actually teach in the West Village. So
okay. Okay.
yeah, it's a pretty diverse situation there. At least my classes are. The school's not as diverse, but my classes are pretty diverse, and it's been
Right.
a cool situation so far.
Right. And it's interesting for you because, throughout your career, you've done a lot of session work, background work, or supporting vocal work. I don't want to say background,
Ah,
supporting vocal work with a number of artists on the independent scene and quote unquote more mainstream. So this is a great way for you to kind of continue to, give back, so to speak.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a give back because they definitely take. They definitely take more than they give. But yeah, I mean, just taking all of those experiences into the classroom has been really beneficial. I mean, because obviously you hear names like Childish Gambino and Mariah Carey, and your ears kind of like perk up.
Right.
And just having all of those experiences, it really has been something that helps me just helps me express who I am to them, outside of the classroom, and just letting them get to know more about me as an artist. And I think the
Hmm.
more I share my artistry with them, the more it does inspire them to even consider, jobs in the arts, whether it be a performer or doing some administrative something or other. I think, there's so much more than performing that goes into the arts, and I don't think
Yes.
that people realize that you can really make a career in the arts without even necessarily being a performer. And so like I give them all of who I am, every time I walk in.
Right, right, right. But you are a performer, and you've been, working on this new album, which is entitled "Restore." So, talk a little bit about the album. How long has the process been with this one? Because this will be your third full-length album.
Yeah, just about my third full length album. Like, I've released like tons of mixtapes and
Yep.
singles and stuff
That's why I had to
in
think, because
between all those. Right, right. But yeah, this is the third full length album, and it kind of happened by accident. I had worked on my last project, Maze, with Chris One Two in Denmark, and like that was the first time I really worked exclusively with a producer, and
hmm
that project just it was a dream. It was like I want to do this all the time, but his career started going in a different direction, and so we didn't get the opportunity to work on a full project. And I was on a flight to LA like 3 weeks before the world shut down because I
mm,
had some meetings out there and I was meeting some friends. And I just started like getting like this download of like information, and it was just based off the concept of restoration, and like not even knowing that in a few weeks we would all like really need
mm.
healing and restoration.
Right.
And so it was kind of prophetic in a way. I don't like to say that because I don't want to sound like spooky, but it was like kind of prophetic in a way, and I got all the concepts and song titles and everything, and I wrote it all down in my little journal, and
Mm.
um, when when I when I got to San Francisco, like on the first leg of my trip, I just started like producing like some bass lines, just like listening and like listening to just like my heart and just like kind of coming up with what I could come up with, and that was the first time I really had put my hand in production, and
Mm.
so. For this project, it's really special to me because I kind of produced like all the basic tracks for it,
Okay.
came up with all the melodic ideas. Me and one of my little brothers, Hunter, he sings background for me. Um, we like things I couldn't do production wise, like he was there to do, and
Mm.
so like all the ideas I had like came from me, and it was really kind of like special. It was a special like time in life for all of us because
Right.
like if you follow my career or just my social media, I was in the hospital with COVID for 6 days
Mm-hmm,
before
mm-hmm.
it was like really a thing. So it was like
Right.
very scary, and so just coming out of that, I just had a different perspective on life. Like I always really did like kind of want to put out joy and love and like all those like warm fuzzy feelings, but after
Right.
that it was like that was my life goal. Like I was like I gotta live and I gotta live like how I need to live and how I need to live to make myself feel like I'm living, you know.
Right.
So yeah, like I just started producing the stuff one by one, and my friend Mikey had heard some of it, and he was like, "Yo," he was like, "Send this to me," and I was like, "Okay." He's like somebody that I really trust musically because he's worked with, I mean, everybody. He literally just won the Grammy for album of the year with John Batiste,
Oh yeah.
and he's like taking my music and like beefing it up and like reproducing stuff and reworking stuff and like helping me make it sound like how it really needs to sound, and so that was the process of creating this. Like it happened one by one, but all the songs are they're based on healing, restoration, and just life, and all the good and the bad that comes with it. But really, it's like a reconciliation of between us, like people, and
Mm-hmm.
healing.
Right.
Because like stuff is getting bad, and we definitely need to focus on like the good and focus on healing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you talk about the like when the process started, like 3 weeks before the world shut down. So that really means this is almost like a 3-year journey
It is.
from start to now the album about to come out. Um, and I'm sure it took, because you said you got kind of like got the download at that point. Um, and you was writing it from that point. But did all the songs come then, or those were just the ideas, and then you just kind of built along over the next,
Yeah, so
two and a half
that's a
years?
good question. Like, so all the song titles and concepts came in that one first download. Like, I literally like wrote them down. They didn't stay in that same order, but like all the ideas and concepts either became a song or some sort of interlude. And
Mm,
I call it interlude like loosely because um, with the concept of healing, like a lot of a healing that takes place in our body happens when we're resting,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
And so all of the interludes are now like lullabies, right? So they're
mm,
lullabies to Black children and sort of affirmations to Black children, just to for your parents to like you as parents, you can sing to them and make that connection and reiterate those things, all about just identity, love, um, resting, and dreams and
mm-hmm.
hopes. Those are the concepts for all the lullabies that happen in between the songs. So all the
Okay.
songs are about relationships, whether it be platonic or like spiritual or romantic. And then all of the miniatures are lullabies just to reiterate and affirm like us as people, us as humans,
Hmm.
us as just like keepers of dreams and light, all of that.
Right. So this is. Would you title this kind of like as a concept album?
It's definitely a concept album. It's definitely like when you hear it. I'm gonna send it to you so you can get a preview because
Okay.
obviously, like, you're my big brother and like I know you know what's up. So I'm
Right.
gonna send it to you so you can hear it, and it is like definitely. I don't. It's so weird because like I don't feel like it's far off from what's happening like mainstream wise, but
Mm,
content wise and lyrically, I mean, I'm not gonna keep it on this like superficial level. Like it definitely, you definitely have to think, but it
right.
it is it is something that I think it's something that people can connect to. Like I really do, like on all levels. I don't think that it's gonna go over people's heads. If you take the time to listen to it, it'll definitely resonate with you in some way.
Right. And it's interesting because, I asked if it's a concept album because everything you says that it's a concept album. But when we think about independent music and independent artists, we don't think about independent artists doing concept albums
Right,
per se. Uh, and it's interesting because you, as an independent artist, have such a, I guess, foothold, or you kind of straddle into the mainstream a little bit because of the different variations of people that you work with and have worked with over
right.
your career. So when you say it kind of is not far off from what the mainstream sound is, for everybody listening and watching, Nicholas is kind of in the mainstream sound a little bit because of the artists that he works with. So, you would know, but not allowing that to inform how you do your music, I would think is very important as well.
Yeah, for sure. I just it's so weird. I try not to. I know a lot of artists do that, but I try not to listen to a lot of things like while I'm creating because I don't necessarily want it to sound like
Hmm.
what's popular. Um,
Right.
I know a lot of independent artists do that. I feel like it's the exact opposite when you are like mainstream in the industry. You're trying to see what's hot.
Mm,
But I I always kind of just listen to what is. I don't listen to anything new for sure, like or newer or what like I would consider new, like stuff that like could be current. I don't often listen to that. What I do listen to though is things that make me feel good,
mm,
right? Stuff that's old that like has really resonated. So like a lot of what I've been listening to over the past like year is the emotions.
okay.
Like I've been I've been studying them like crazy, just like their harmonies, like the way they stack their vocals, like the way
Yeah.
they do their runs in harmony and in unison. Like I just have been really connected to them for some reason, like over the past
Hmm.
like year and a half, and like really digging in all the record stores, trying to find all their vinyl, just so I can hear like like the original kind of analog sound of like what it really sounded like, and
Mm,
so that's a lot of what I had been listening to. That and like of course like you know Aretha Franklin, like and just digging like with all the stuff that was not necessarily like popular when I was a kid,
right.
like
Right.
kind of digging. Like I really got into a lot of the stuff that Luther produced for her, which
Okay.
wasn't as popular for me. Like in my house, like all the classic stuff, like the 60s stuff and
Right.
60s and like kind of 70s stuff, but like the late 70s early 80s Aretha, I really got into like the whole disco dance like songs,
Okay.
um and which has absolutely nothing to do with how the record sounds, but that's what I was listening to, like when
But it
when I was
informed the
creating.
feeling of the album. It informed as you were pulling it together, at least the spirit of it.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
yeah.
so like a lot of a lot of it is a little. darker than what you might be used to. Like, obvious confidence key is like, it's like an upbeat sort of anthem, if you will.
Mhm.
Somebody
Mhm.
called it an anthem. I don't think I'm arrogant enough
I,
to say that
I
somebody
like
called
that
it
though.
an
I
anthem,
like that. It's definitely anthemic in terms of
right?
like kind of like a I like Nas I am type of thing.
Right,
So yeah, it's definitely in that vibe.
right. So you hear that, and everything it goes together, but it's like that's a little bit of a detachment. Like some of it is a little bit darker, just because those were super dark times.
Mhm.
It's dark, but it's hopeful at the same time.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I think that sometimes is a hard concept for us to see, especially as Black people. Um, like we get the dark, we get the darkest of the dark times,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so my thing is always like trying to still inspire hope, like even in the face of like crap, and that's like really like where I was when I was in the hospital, like not really knowing what the outcome was gonna be, because we
Mm,
didn't know at the time that I was in the hospital. There was no information about like what the
right.
disease. Everything was like all speculation, and like there were points where I didn't think I was gonna make it. Like it just was that it was that bad and that scary. But really pulling through and seeing like the response that people gave. Like I had people tell me like, I don't pray and I prayed for you, or like,
Mm,
I was like calling everybody, like telling people to like keep you in thought and in prayer, and like and just like me surviving really gave people hope, like it gave
right.
people hope in the midst of like what could have been a very, I mean, it was a very dark time for a lot of people, and like a lot of people lost a lot of people, and like that really helped me understand the impact of my life, like and and so that's what it is. It's dark, but it's definitely dark with hope, with glimpses of hope.
Right. Rhythm and Soul Radio. We were talking with Nicholas Ryan Gant. We're talking about his new album, Restore, which will be out to the masses soon. The single you've been hearing that we've been playing over the last few weeks is Confidence Key, that we'll play a little bit later. To remind you, the anthem, as we're starting to call it, the anthem of the album. um, you mentioned, in a way that this album was prophetic in terms of how it all came to you in these themes of hope and kind of coming through, came to you in the time that where we didn't know what was going on, and
Right,
certainly we had no idea what was going to come back then of what's happened in the last couple of months, whether we've had the mass shootings or just in the last week with the Supreme Court rulings and all of that. So
right,
it's a whole nother layer of hopelessness for some, or needing a shot of hope, through this music. So I know we were talking off air. You said there were the album is coming. Is that we don't have a firm date right now, but it's imminent. So um, is it weird to you that it comes out with all of these things and it's like more and more keep happening? The longer it takes, for the album to physically come out,
right.
is it just kind of weird that it's almost like perfect in a way because now your album can fill that void of hope?
Yeah, I mean that is definitely something that I think about like daily, and just even like what I have written was so it's just it is kind of mind blowing to know that like it's something that everybody needed, and like it's something that I needed personally, and like the state of the world is so incredibly crazy right now. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
completely messed up, and like for some people there's no hope, and I feel like with things like this, with art, obviously, like Nina Simone said it best, like artists should be reflecting the times,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to speak to those things in my art, like I don't take it lightly. I don't take it lightly. I know that it is a huge responsibility for us as artists to reflect what's happening. And if you're not, I say, like, literally shame on you. Like, you have to use your platform and whatever visibility you have to make sure that things are people's voices that have no voice are being amplified, right? Or you're choosing to inspire people in a way that will garner change,
Right, right.
and so I think that's important.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier that obviously you contracted COVID at the beginning of the pandemic, and so you didn't have a whole lot of information to go on. There was nobody to give you that advice that, oh yeah, my friend had it. This is what you do, or breathe into the machine, and get the humidity going. You had none of that.
None of
And
it.
now and now we're on the quote unquote back into the pandemic, and you just recently had an album release show. How was that for you? Like coming, and you've been performing for the last like week and a half straight. How is that
Seriously.
process for you? Coming out of the pandemic, you have a different relationship to the pandemic than many of us. So as we're coming out and we're back outside, but we're still being careful. How are you feeling with that in terms of being able to go out and perform again to do
Oh
what
my God.
you're meant to do?
It's definitely surreal at this point. I mean, like, because obviously everybody had to figure out this pivot, and virtual shows and virtual performances and figuring out, your recording setup and lighting and all of that. Like,
Right.
it was definitely a pivot, and being on stage, especially for this album preview show, it was incredible. It was at Joe's Pub. Shout out to Naima Sandy. Um, she curated a show for me at Joe's Pub, um, that was, for my album release during Juneteenth weekend, and
Hmm.
it just was incredible. It was a really great feeling. I kind of woke up. I woke up with a cold that morning. I had taken like all these COVID tests to make sure that it wasn't COVID, but
Right.
yeah, I woke up like kind of sick that morning, feeling really congested and sneezy, and so it was a little bit discouraging at first. But I did all the things. I took all the Sudafeds and things like that, and I steamed and did everything to try to just get all the congestion out at least for a few hours so that I could try to sing for the people.
Right.
And it was amazing. The turnout was incredible. There were, more than 100 people there, and it was beautiful. It was a packed house, and people were really ready to, receive what I had to offer, which was such a cool feeling. And like the response has been incredible, just in anticipation for the actual release. And so it is imminent. The release is imminent. But I had just a few setbacks, just because my engineer is so incredibly busy. So we have been working out the details and trying to figure out a solid date. But I'm crossing my fingers that it will come out before the end of the summer. So, just trying to give it the push that it deserves. Like, I mean, it's been a few years, and like I have some very very quality guest artists that have come in and blessed the project in a way that it's really spectacular, in my opinion. If I could be
Right.
humble and brag a little bit, it's really really a beautiful project that I think a lot of people can resonate with.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we said it's imminent. Hopefully, before the end of the summer, tell people how they follow you and get more information about the album. And when it's ready to be released, they can jump on it and make sure they get it.
Oh yeah, so you can stay up with me on Instagram. I post daily on Instagram at Ghetto Falsetto, GhettoFalsetto. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's Ghetto_Falsetto. And the album, just so that we're clear, will be released through Bandcamp first. So all of my Bandcamp followers will have first dibs. I'll send it out to them first, and they'll be able to listen and hear it before anybody. So I encourage everybody to follow me on Bandcamp. It's bandcamp.com/ghetto falsetto, and follow me there. I send out updates. I try to send out monthly updates, sometimes bi-weekly, of all of my performances that I'm doing. Also, any videos or content that I'm releasing, I send it out there first as well. So, yeah, follow me on Bandcamp, and keep in touch. Send me a message, or if there's something you want to hear or see, I definitely am. I'm definitely open, and I like to connect with the people that listen to me. So,
All right. Well, it's always a pleasure. We're always in your corner. We appreciate you. We appreciate the music. We look forward to the full album. In the meantime, we keep playing the anthem because we certainly need it. If nothing, if not for the
yes,
world, for ourselves. Because confidence is key. So, so
it
we need
is.
that
I
confidence
appreciate
key.
you guys so much. Thank you so much for everything.
All right, we appreciate you. Nicholas Ryan Gant, Ghetto Falsetto, the album Restore coming soon. The single currently is Confidence Key right here on Rhythm and Soul Radio. Thanks again, Nick.
Thank you.